That's education. I want to now make an important announcement about the hotel at Mount Win and Peters Hope. You'll recall that in February, during the budget presentation, the government said that it intended to build around 350 rooms of hotel space itself in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We said we were going to put an airport hotel at Diamond, and we were going to put a 250-room hotel at Mount Win. You've already heard over the course, well, let me stick up in there. That is part of a larger renaissance in hotel construction on mainland St. Vincent. Let's add them up. Hotels that are either about to begin, in process, or announced by the government. You have the Black Sands Hotel at Peters Hope. That's a 400-room facility. Okay? You have the Bookament Bay Resort. Work will commence on that very shortly in the rehabilitation of that facility. That's 200-room hotel. You're up to 6. Those of you who drive through Calequa will see that on the top of the hill there, where Bowie had property, that land has been cleared. There is going to be constructed there a hotel called the Royal Mill. And the Royal Mill Hotel, which is a private entity, it's a combination of a large block hotel and villas. The block will look something like this. And the villas, the residences they're called, look something like that. That is going to be a 200-room facility. So now you 400 for Black Sands, another 400 for Bookament and Royal Mill.
Nearly $60 million.
That's yes, this will be, and we'll have an opportunity to have a further, fuller conversation about Royal Mills going forward and their timelines. But so that's 800 rooms now with Black Sand, Bookament, and Royal Mill. Then we have the facility at Diamond, the airport hotel that the government is building. That's 93 rooms, but we'll call it 100 for the sake of ease of math. So that's 900 rooms. For yes, that gets you to 900. And then you have the facility that we're building at Mount Win, 250 rooms. So what's that now? 1150?
Yep.
1,150 rooms, give or take. That effectively, and that's not counting the good work being done by local hoteliers already. You know that Beachcombers, for example, has added a new row of suites to the top of their hotel, and other hoteliers, Hotel Alexandrina has expanded and the like. So you're talking almost 1,200 rooms. And St. Vincent mainland, before this, didn't have 1,200 rooms of that quality. So you're talking essentially a more than doubling of the room stock in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's incredible. You've heard that the brand of the hotel for the Diamond site is the Holiday Inn Express, which is a part of the Intercontinental Hotels brand. Holiday Inn Express will be the Diamond Hotel. And I can say that Hans King, in his capacity as the head of the National Properties Limited, has executed the final contract with Holiday Inn Express, that the preliminary designs have been submitted, that the preliminary designs have been approved, and that soil testing is currently underway to ensure that the structural design fits properly on the soil with the drainage and all of those things. We are currently ahead of schedule in our design process for the Holiday Inn Express at Diamond. But today, for the first time, I can announce the brand of the hotel at Mount Win. And that brand, on the basis of an executed contract that took place a couple days ago, is the Marriott. So St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the big 4 hotel brands in the world are the Wyndham, the Marriott, the Hilton, and Intercontinental hotels. We will now have 2 of the big 4 in Holiday Inn Express as a member of the Intercontinental Hotel Group and the Marriott. And we're very proud of the fact that we have come to an agreement after a lengthy period of negotiation with the Marriott to have this hotel. On the 10th of September, the Marriott's Vice President for International Hotel Development for the Caribbean and Latin America will be coming to St. Vincent and the Grenadines to have a formal announcement and a celebration for this monumental achievement. There's another hotel, and that vice president has visited St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the past because we invited him here. We invited other representatives of those big 4 hotels. We began negotiations with all of them, and we determined which one's vision most closely aligned with our vision, not only for Mount Win, but for tourism in St. Vincent and the Grenadines more widely. And the Marriott's team has worked very closely with us. They're very proud that they will be the first luxury brand on mainland St. Vincent. And they're very proud to expand their presence into this part of the Caribbean. You know, there's a very large Marriott in St. Kitts, and they've been looking for an opportunity to build a Marriott in this part of the region. And we're very glad that our interests have aligned.
Where's the actual design now, where we are?
So we contracted with an architectural firm called 10 Arquitectos, led by a man called Enrique Norton. I encourage you to Google Enrique Norton or Google 10 Arquitectos. He is one of the leading architects in this hemisphere. He's designed massive buildings in New York, in Latin America, in Europe, from hotels to art museums, to office buildings. He was on a short list of recommended architects that we received through our conversations with these hoteliers. And he provided first concept drawings. A long time ago, I posted some of those concept drawings on the internet. He then requested detailed surveys be done of the Mount Win area. I remember people were complaining that some of the bush was cut down in Mount Win. That was for the detailed surveying and topography to be done. And he is now concluding the structural design, which makes those concept designs real and places them on the contours of our land and determines what quantities and so on are required, what work is required. We expect those documents within a month or so. Then that will go out to bid, and we will hire the contractor that we think is best suited for the construction of this project. The construction of a 400-room hotel at Peters Hope and a 250-room hotel at Mount Win means that you're going to have 650 rooms under construction in an area of land that had no work done on it previously. It's going to be a huge boost for employment. It is going to fuel the development of the NIS and GECU housing program, the housing development that they have up on the hill. And it's going to create essentially a new community there. And Mount Win Peters Hope will be well on the way to becoming the new luxury hotel strip in mainland St. Vincent. It's an exciting time, and we're very happy.
Then the development will happen in Barry and Layou as a consequence.
We're very happy to have the Marriott on board. You will recall also in the budget speech of February that we said, since we are placing these hotels away from town, on the leeward side, the 2 nearest towns to those hotels will be Barry and Layou. And because we're not building all-inclusives, the people will be encouraged to venture out of their hotel and visit the neighboring communities. And those communities have to be prepared to accept an influx of tourists. And so there's money in this budget to begin some of the work that will lead to the beautification of Layou and Barralee, and also preparing the residents of Layou and Barralee, enhancing their ability to make a dollar from the fact that we will have this influx of tourists in the area. And so it's all part of a holistic concept. But the Marriott has been is an important cornerstone. You don't need a Marriott. And you may say there are other ways you could save money, because the Marriott is now, they're going to get a cut of the money and some of the profits will go to them and so on. But when you're trying to establish your destination, it's very useful to have a major brand as an anchor. And it sends a signal to other brands that they can get involved in the area. There's another hotel chain whose name I will not call now because it's not my place, but they're in advanced discussions with a private entity. And one of the reasons is because they heard that the Marriott was coming. And so they give a second look to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And we hope that this will spur further private sector development in the hotel space and in the 1,200 rooms that we're building there. I mentioned the Holiday Inn Express at Diamond and the fact that soil testing is underway. Soil testing is not only underway for the construction of the hotel, it is also underway for the construction of the athletic track and facility. And I want you to pause a moment and imagine with me what is currently a pasture where some cattle graze and every once in a while some cars race. I want you to pause for me and imagine a 93 hotel room at the front, an athletic facility to the back, and a community center, which has been insisted upon by the representative, Frederick Stevenson, also in that same area. It is going to transform that Diamond area, to say nothing of the full operations of the Hospitality Institute that will exist in that same area. Now, you'll recall, some of you, that the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines started a stadium committee many years ago to plan for the construction of a stadium. And I go through this because while I do not answer half-baked statements that you might see on the internet, I noticed that there are some people who first put up some pictures a few months ago and said, this should be the athletic facility of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and if our party comes to power, we'll build it. And it was noted at the time that that facility had 7 baseball fields, even though St. Vincent and the Grenadines doesn't play a lot of baseball. But maybe there was an intent to diversify our sports offerings. And then there's been a second one that doesn't have the baseball fields, that has a stadium, and say, well, we'll build this stadium. But without getting into Farmville and what is created on the computer, I want to say that this is a serious process. And a lot of thought goes into the design of a stadium, the location of a stadium, the services available at a stadium, or any athletics facility. So, a little history. We started with a stadium entity a number of years ago that designed this. You will see at the top here an athletic track, a soccer field in the middle, seating on my right, your left, and a mound on the other side of the track, where people, and you watch cricket, you see people out on the mound and so on, spread their blankets and watch facilities. And below, you will see there were plans for a warm-up track and parking and additional parking here on the floor. And the other things go through the designs of they're all rolled up. But, you know, you have different views and designs for the bleachers and these sorts of things. Detailed work by serious architects was done in this stadium facility. And you will recall that the financing for that facility had been agreed upon by the Prime Minister, and world events dictated that that source of financing was no longer there. When one government decides to invade or wage war on another government, and you think it's just happening on CNN or MSNBC, sometimes it can have real world effects, even in us in our little remote corner of the world. The financing that we had agreed on didn't materialize because of world events beyond our control. We have decided to approach this design or this concept in a phased manner, because I, as Minister of Finance, cannot find within local funds enough money to build a stadium straight off the bat. I'll be plain and straight with you. And that there are priorities, including a new port, including a new hospital at Arnesville, including the hotels, that dictate the allocation of the resources in a particular way. But we cannot forget our athletes. We cannot forget the importance of sport. So we've decided to go with that concept in a phased manner. Because of that, we contacted a German company whose name I cannot say because I can't pronounce it, not because I won't say it. It is Berleberger Schaffenswerk GmbH. It's called BSW. BSW GmbH. And I encourage you again to Google BSW GmbH. They designed the Berlin Olympics track facility where Usain Bolt set the record. And they have a sponsorship arrangement with Usain Bolt. And thanks to Usain Bolt, they built stadia and tracks in Jamaica. And then they resurfaced tracks in Trinidad and Tobago. And they built the UE track in Barbados at Cave Hill, the blue and yellow track. And they're currently building 2 tracks in Guyana. So thanks to Usain's involvement with them, they came into the Caribbean region. We contacted BSW. We invited BSW to come to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They came a few months ago. We showed them our concept. We took them to the Diamond site. I'm laying this all out because I want you to know that talking about track and building track, 2 very different things. They came here. We took them to every competent contractor in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to see if we have the equipment in-house to build an athletics facility. We took them to our asphalt production facilities. We took them to our concrete production facilities. We had them meet with the Ministry of Transport and Works. We had them meet with contractors. All of that. We had them meet with sports, Ministry of Sports and so on, to see what we needed to do to build an athletic track in St. Vincent and the Grenadines as the first phase of a multi-phase project that will lead to something like this. They did their consultations, and they have now sent a contract for us that is currently being reformatted by the Ministry of Legal Affairs. We're fine with the terms of the contract. It's just sort of sent in a German format, and we want to make it look like our contracts normally do. So they will build us a track. The track will be an 8-lane track. The track shall have, it will be this color, because they say red, and I don't want people to start to think hair red and think that is something other. So it will be this color. It will be an 8-lane track. It will have a straight of 130 meters for the 100 meters and for the 110-meter hurdle races. It will have the following field events: 1 steeplechase facility with water ditch and hurdle sockets, 2 shot put rings, 1 combined discus hammer ring, 2 runways for the javelin, 1 pole vault runway, 2 directional with trays and landing areas at each end, 1 double multi-directional long jump, triple jump runway with landing sand pits at each end, and the various drainage and all the rest of it they start listing. So the first phase, and we've sent our topographical studies, we've done additional surveys, they have placed the track precisely where they think it should go to require the least amount of cut and fill. And the first phase will be the construction of this track with the soccer field in the middle, the mound on which people can relax without seating, and a very, very basic bleacher at this point. Basic bleachers. The second phase will involve the practice, and also fencing, obviously, because people have cattle out there and we can have cattle all over the track and so on and so forth. The second phase will involve the warm-up track, paving of the parking lots, and expansion of the seating capacity. So we'll begin with basic bleachers and we will grow. That is the long of the short there. But they have indicated to us that the construction of this facility is a 9-month process, weather permitting. And most of that work is on the civil works of perfectly leveling the ground and making the circle to very precise specifications.
What about the quality in terms of the competition, the level at which?
So it will be a Category 2 track. A Category 2 track is essentially the best track you have short of Olympics, because we're not going to be hosting any Olympics in St. Vincent and the Grenadines anytime soon. But every other international meet short of the Olympics can take place on a Category 2 track. That is the category that we've shot for, which is as good as any other track in the Caribbean or in the region. I believe that on my last check, there were 10 Category 2 tracks throughout that have received their certification throughout the Caribbean region. Go to the IAAF or IAAF, and you can get a list of all the Category 2 tracks in the world, and you will see that there are not a lot of them in the region, but there are about 10 of them or so. We will have one. As we add facilities, warm-up track, more seating, you change your construction category. There are 2 categories. And that will increase as we increase seating and the like. But a Category 2 track is so precise, is so level, is so well measured that a record set on that track is a world record. They don't say, well, you were running, the wind was blowing the wrong way, the track is a micrometer too short and all the rest of it. This is the track of the highest quality, built by an entity that has built tracks sufficient for the Olympics and built high-level tracks all around the world. So we're very happy to have BSW in partnership with us. We expect to sign the contract very soon. The Attorney General's Chamber, as I said, is just doing some reformatting, and we will commence construction there as soon as possible. The work done with the asphalt is work that will be done by a number of local contractors, and then they come at the end after you put down the asphalt, and they put down this sort of rubber, which they manufacture in Germany, and these levels of essentially a type of a latex. There's one level which is an adhesive, and another level, and then the granular top level. which is what you see in tracks, and then they will line it off and all the rest of the things. So this is all manufactured in Germany. The asphalt and the paving that's underneath this will be done in St. Vincent and the Grenadines by local contractors under their supervision. They've said that we have the equipment. If they bring certain lasers and certain things to tune them, we can use what we have between a particular local contractor and some equipment that the government has. We have enough equipment to do the work if they just fine tune it a little bit under their supervision. So they will have an engineer here from Germany, and that person will supervise that work. And then after we've done the paving and the grassing of the field and those sorts of things, they come in and they lay this part on top of it, and then they install the sand pit, the long jump pit, the javelin runway, and those sorts of things. So the track is coming. And I'm sure that listeners will be able to realize that a lot of thought has gone into this process. A lot of hard work has gone into this process. And there's a reason why we're not coming here to say we're building you a grand stadium tomorrow, because it would be dishonest. We're moving in that direction, but we're doing the first part first, which is a track with a facility that will allow our sportsmen and women to compete on a facility of the highest quality and improve their own competitiveness, and also host events here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.